This video reviews the surgical guidance screens on the Alcon Varion Digital Marker M. There are 6 surgical overlay mode buttons on the Digital Marker M screen located at the top of the screen. They are Registration Check, Incision Guide, Capsular Access Guide, Centration Guide, Toric IOL Guide, and Finalization Check. In all modes, overlays are displayed on both the microscope live image on the Digital Marker M screen and through the microscope ocular. Lateral or rotational movements of the eye are tracked and compensated for relative to the pre-op image taken from the measurement module. In any of the modes, you can make changes to the overlay parameters by clicking on the Edit button at the right side of the screen to open the Edit bar. To switch between the different surgery steps, click the desired mode on the top bar of the screen. If you have a Centurion vision system linked, you can use the foot pedal to change overlay modes. You can stop surgery guidance by selecting the far right button on the top bar. Note that the surgical steps displayed correspond to the steps called for in the surgical plan. For example, if a toric IOL is called for, the toric IOL guide step will appear as a surgical guidance step. After confirming registration, you will see the incision step on the DMM screen. In the incision step, a tracking overlay of planned incision positions is shown on the microscope live image. Once you activate the incision step, the planned incision locations are represented by triangles, and the planned steep axis is represented by a green dashed line. On the left is the tracking range indicator. A green dot on the indicator means that torsion tracking is active and within the appropriate range of plus or minus 10 degrees of torsion. Between plus or minus 10 degrees and plus or minus 15 degrees of torsion, the indicator turns yellow. This is the incision guide mode through the microscope integrated display, the MID. Again, the planned incision locations are represented by triangles, and the planned steep axis is represented by a dashed line. On the left, the tracking range indicator is shown with the bar centered in the plus or minus 10 degree zone. To refine the incision angle during surgery, open the editing bar by pressing on the Edit button and then use the arrow buttons to change the primary incision angle. To refine the position of a secondary incision, select it on the screen overlay and change the angle in the editing bar. Activate the Capsular Access Guide mode by pressing on the Capsular Access icon, or by stepping on the foot pedal until the Capsular Access icon is highlighted. The Capsular Access Guide is an online tracking overlay of the planned capsular access position and diameter on the microscope live image. The Capsular Access overlay appears as a dashed circle centered on the pre-op planned position and diameter. Always ensure that the 2 green lines end at the limbus of the patient's eye for proper scaling of the Capsular Access overlay. This is the Capsular Access Guide through the MID. The Capsular Access location appears as a dashed circle centered on the pre-op planned position, representing the planned diameter. The display at the top of the overlay shows the planned diameter and the planned centration option, in this case a 5.0 mm rhexis centered on the measured pre-op pupil. If needed, you can modify the Capsular Access parameters on the Edit bar. You can refine the Capsular Access position with the arrow buttons, or use the Reset Position buttons to center the Capsular Access on the pre-op pupil, the limbus, or on the visual axis. Use the arrow buttons to change the Capsular Access size. Activate the IOL Centration Guide mode by pressing on the Centration icon, or by stepping on the foot pedal until the Centration icon is highlighted. The Centration Guide is an overlay to guide the surgeon on the position and centration of the IOL. The Centration overlay appears centered on the location defined in the planning screen. The overlay displays a green centering target and 3 circles of 2.4, 4.2, and 6.0 millimeters in diameter on the lens plane. This is the Centration Guide through the MID. The planned centration location is displayed at the top of the overlay. In this case, the lens will be centered on the capsular axis, which is centered on the pre-op pupil. You can change the centration parameters on the Edit bar. Press the desired centration option button to change the IOL centration. The IOL model and power are also displayed on the Edit bar. Activate the Toric IOL Orientation Guide mode by pressing on the Toric IOL Orientation icon or by pressing on the foot pedal until the icon is highlighted. The Toric IOL Orientation Overlay is automatically positioned on the implantation axis planned at the vision planner, unless a different axis was set prior to surgery. This is the Toric Alignment Guide through the MID. The display shows implantation information at the top of the screen. In this example, the Varion plan axis is 167 degrees, represented by the bold green dashed line. To refine the alignment axis during surgery, open the editing bar with the Edit button and press the Toric Alignment Axis button. Select User Defined from the Toric Alignment Axis drop-down menu. Refine the axis angle with the Angle controls. Press the Comparison Axis button to select a comparison axis to display along with the planned axis from the Varion Vision Planner. To define a custom comparison angle, select User Defined and set the desired angle with the Angle controls. Activate the Finalization mode by pressing on the Finalization mode icon or by stepping on the foot pedal until the icon is highlighted. The Finalization Check combines the Centration and Toric tracking overlays on the microscope live image to check the final lens position. If you have the Centurion Vision System linked and the phaco overlay activated, you will see a simultaneous display of the Centurion phaco information on the Varion Digital Marker M screen. To assist the surgeon with final lens placement, the MID Finalization Overlay displays a graphic of planned alignment and centration. Planned lens positioning information is shown at the top of the display. To complete surgery guidance, press the last button in the top bar of the Digital Marker M screen. Press the OK button to confirm that you want to exit surgical guidance.